welcome. Welcome to the Dragon Den. We're back with some UrU. I just noticed this. This wasn't here last time that I saw. We got ourselves what looks like a display of all the pictures we have taken, which is kind of cool. Now I need to actually take some like really good photos, so they're like some cool photos to show up here. Done the imager from the Great Zero route through. Oh, okay, that's what that is. Hi, Kazuki. Yeah, the online version, every Bevan has one of those. Man, we got everyone here today. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We are... Wait, where's the Palace of Kings? Well, the Palace of Kings... No. Okay. It's been a few days since I've jumped into this last... That's the war roof right there. But it's been a few days since we jumped into this last, so sorry. I was bad. It's been a few days since we flew into this last. There we go. But we were in the middle of picking up a bunch of markers to try and restart the Great Zero. And in the middle of that, we ran into the Palace of Kings. I guess it doesn't matter which one we go to. We can go to really probably any of these. This looks like a good one. Where we found the linking page before the office of the one. Well, I think I remember. Yeah, let me go ahead. Oh, there's actually apparently a marker close to here. Because the red blinky is blinking and notifying me, so. Oh, and it's gone. Oh, would it be up there? There's like actually like a... Possibly. That might be where it's at. Yep. Hello. How many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 7 more to get to the 15 that we need for the next stage of restarting the Great Zero. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we're not too far away from where we were. We can, I think. Oh, let's see if I can remember exactly where I need to go for the Palace of Kings. Time to start actually learning how to navigate Gunny and not just running around randomly. Is it? I can go down here. We have not been down here yet. We will come back. What just... Why did the game's alt tab? Hello? Game, what are you doing? Why are you being weird, game? This isn't good. What the heck's it doing? Can I just do that? There we go. I don't know what that was weird. So we haven't been down there yet. That's someplace we need to still explore. Where? Oh god. I should have actually been like paying attention where I was going last time instead of just wandering around randomly. That was almost disastrous. Okay, yeah, here's the Palace of Kings. Yay, we found it. I don't know what was going on. That was weird. It was just like automatically alt-tabbing out. That was... I don't know. Okay. Anyway, we figured it out. I don't think that was a UrU issue. I think that was my computer or that was just Windows being dumb issue. Okay. So we've read 2 of these? No, we've read 3 of these. Next we have King Corrine. Corrine took the throne in 1159 at the age of 50. Corrine was the older of Marin's 2 sons, and the 2 brothers were apparently close. His younger brother was a guild captain in the Guild of Linguistics, and the 2 remained close for much of Corine's reign. But in 1159, he took the throne. It would have been impossible to forecast the turbulent stirring of events that would start during his reign and not end for some years later. His grandfather had been an extremely religious man, though not everyone had agreed with his theologies. There were in fact a number of groups who had strongly disagreed with Yeesha, and though Marin had not done anything to offend them, during the reign of Corrine, they sought to make their own causes more widely known. The more dangerous of those groups was known as the Judges of Yavo. Though they had existed for some time, it was in 1303 that they began to make a name for themselves. Technology loves to either be your best friend or greatest nemesis. There's no in between. Yes. Completely true. And also, yes, it is reading time. It all seems to have begun when a writer mysteriously left the Guild of Writers in 1303. A few days later, books and ink went missing from the respective guilds. Corrine ordered tightened security on the guild, as well as a massive search for the vanished writer, but all to no avail. Unbeknownst to Corrine, the judges, led by the man Ikorus, were writing illegal ages in an attempt to create a race they could control and force to go to war for them. In 1320, the Pinto Age was written, and the judges had what they needed. It was in 1323, when, with his wife about to give birth to his first son, that Corrine's palace was attacked by a group of judges, along with warriors from the Age of Pinto. Corrine ordered his family out of the palace, as it was quickly overtaken, and together they traveled to the other side of the city, where a special linking book was waiting for them. While traveling through the King's Arch, rumors say that Corrine's wife gave birth to his first son, Alcindar. Corrine continued to live in the city, although his family stayed in a secret, private age. The city grew more and more dangerous as the judges began to destroy more of the city and kill more of its citizens. Corrine poured money into the city guard as well as the small military of the day, although it seemed too little too late. In 1352, Corrine was assassinated by a group of Pinto warriors being led by the judges. The city was thrown into complete chaos. The judges of Yavo, known as the Regolianto judges, they believe the sect believed they were to exercise Yavo's judgment on those who did not truly understand him as they did. Okay. Well, he did give birth to a son, or he does have an heir, so that's good, even though he was assassinated. King Alcindar, which was indeed his son. Alcindar, the Great King, was 29 and living on a private age with his mother when his father was killed. Instead of immediately joining the city, he remained in the private age, apparently at the suggestion of his uncle, who had come to inform Alcindar of his father's death, with a few advisors who kept him updated. Alcindar stayed in the private age, trying to formulate a plan for the war that was now raging in his city. Meanwhile, his uncle, still a member of the Guild of Linguistics, was translating much of the Pinto language and learning as much as he could about them. As it turned out, the judges, with the Pinto, claimed control of the Deni government after the death of Corrine and began to move into other ages. Alcindar, after being briefed by his uncle on new information, continued to wait. A few weeks later, the waiting appeared to pay off. Reports came back that the judges had killed the leader of the Pinto for fear he was becoming more powerful and out of control. Unfortunately, the leader had not declared an heir and had left 2 sons to fight for the throne. This led to civil war within the Pinto and a complete lack of focus on the Dunny, leaving the judges empty-handed. As well, what forces there were spread out to other ages and no longer fortified the city. The public apparently knew Alcindor was hiding, and with every passing day felt as though the prophecies were coming to fruition. Only the stone, while they pass beneath, listens to his cries and comforts her fear. Only the arch welcomes the reign of the Great One who guides us. Alcindor, they all knew, had been born directly under the arch. A new people of light, will bring great havoc to the dark. As they believed the Pinto had done, he remains hidden, while another sits in his throne, was obvious. While the public waited for him, they only grew more willing to fight for him. 15 weeks after the death of his father, Alcindor entered the city for the first time in his life. With a small force, he sailed directly through the arch to the palace and reclaimed it with relative ease while directing his soldiers and those who joined with him as they saw him enter the city. Immediately, he established safe zones and eventually informed the Pinto that he wished to begin negotiations with the Pinto warrior Mekar. Alcindor agreed to help Mekar defeat his brother if in return they would return to their homes peacefully. Mekar agreed if Alcindor would write them an age to return to. The deals were signed, and in 1376, Alcindor led a force to the Pinto Age. It was there, in the Battle of the Great King, that Alcindor led the defeat of Mekar's brother Taimu and total victory for Dunny. Mekar turned over 2 leaders of the judges, and Alcindor found the other 3 in the city. All 5 were sent to prison ages, and the books burned. Some in the society had demanded execution, but Alcindor had refused. Regardless, his coronation ceremony took place a few weeks later, and it was said not one of Dunny did not attend the event. Our cheering was as loud as thunder, and our pride as solid as the arch through which he sailed. Throughout his reign, Alcindor wrote a good number of books of prophecies and encouraged his people to forget about their old homeland and focus on why they came to Dunny, to start again, to focus on pleasing Yavo, and to make good and right decisions. To know Yavo better should be the focus of their lives. He claimed it was Alcindor who brought them back to the attitude they had. It was Alcindor who brought them back to the attitude they had maintained during the reign of Rina-Reef. During his life, there were numerous rumors abounding about Alcindor and special linking abilities. Numerous witnesses claimed that he did not need linking books to go from one place to another, and numerous others claimed that he could link to different spots within an age. However, none of these rumors were ever confirmed. There were apparently other rumors, much more quiet, which dealt with Alcindor and his relationship with the prophet Nemaya, though it seemed that Nemaya had great respect for Alcindor. The same could not be said concerning Alcindor's opinion of Nemaya. Apparently, the Great King had little time for her, and often found her advice foolish and childish when he did not consult with her. As a result, it seems Nemaya was rarely seen with the Great King and relegated to figurehead role for ceremonies and the like. Perhaps surprisingly, Alcindor rarely consulted with any other prophets, though he did have the choice. Unbeknownst to the public, who continued to praise him, Alcindor was working with the Guild of Writers and Healers on a plague. It was said that it could be used as a biological weapon in case such action was ever needed in the future. Oh my god. As far as the Pinto and the link between their age and Dunny was still open as Alcindor... As far as the Pinto, the link between their age and Dunny was still open as Alcindor insisted on the continuation of resources from the Pinto, although it appears that some of his associates advised against it. It was in 1466 that Mekar came to the palace through other books given to him by judges, and killed Alcindor's wife and 2 sons. Alcindor himself killed Mekar in what records describe as an astounding battle. 2 days later, Alcindor ordered the release of the plague to the new Pinto Age. Apparently, his counselors advised against it, but he demanded his orders be carried out. The plague was released, the records don't specify how, and the entire population of Pinto died 3 days later. Unfortunately, it seems as though most of them realized what was happening and did not die before linking to a number of other ages and infecting numerous other cultures. The sickness did not affect Dunny, although the Guild of Chemists began to fear that it could mutate to something that would. Once the public became aware of the plague, they obviously blamed the Pento for the devastation, and they had no knowledge of all of the Alcendar's participation in the plague. All of the books to which the Pento had access were gathered together to be forever destroyed. Then, in 1500, Alcindar gathered his people together to inform them of the truth. It was in that speech that he told them he had created the plague and had ordered its release. At the end of the speech, he asked to be sealed into the Temple of the Great King, as built by Jacrine, with any infected books, as well as any books that linked the Dunny to their past. As he had preached, they must completely forget. A year later, Alcindar was sealed within the temple, and it was then that the dimensions and shape of the buildings made sense, as it was required to hold massive amounts of books. Solath, Alcindar's chosen heir, took temporary charge of Dunny while the public waited for the Great King's return. However, after 6 months had passed, records state that Solath uncovered the final wishes of Alcindar and read them publicly. Alcindar, he read, was not to return, and for no reason should the seal on the temple of the Great King ever be broken. In addition, the note stated that Solath should be officially designated as permanent king. So convincing was Solath's shock upon reading the note, it was said that he thought of the note being a hoax was never considered. Numerous personal journals and government transcripts state the public's disbelief at the statements. Solath himself said, "For how could he leave us in such a state?" Though there were many calls to break the seal of the temple, a direct command of the Great King was foolish. As well, the books within the seal were infected books and should not be opened for good reason. So in 1502, the Temple of the Great King was renamed to the Tomb of the Great King. Upon orders of Solath, he was assumed dead. However, most still believed he would return. Interesting. The two brothers were fighting for control of Pento, and Makar felt most strongly his people no longer owed judges anything. His brother felt the opposite. Though not done often, it was possible for a king to leave the throne to a successor if he wished to be gone for an extended period of time. No records point to the note being anything but true wishes of the Great King, but it is interesting to note that it was never even thought of as a fabricated note. Huh. Interesting. Okay. And then this is going to be King Solath? Yep, King Solath. He took the throne in 1502 at the age of 79. It should be noted that at his coronation ceremony, Solath was given a newly designed crown. Alcindar had retained his own. Wait, hold on. He was given a newly designed crown. Alcindar had retained his own, and it was common opinion among the Dunny that such a crown should not be worn again. It should also be stated that Solath's father had been the Grand Master of the Guild of Writers, and that helped Alcindar create the book that was responsible for the plague. You can't remember which books I've read in the Myst series? I've only read Book of Ae'Gura so far. I am going to read the other two, the Book of Dunny and the Book of Tiana, but I've currently only read the Book of Ae'Gura. It also should be stated that Solath's father had been the Grand Master of the Guild of Writers and had helped Alcindar create the book that was responsible for the plague. Why Alcindar chose Solath in particular, he never stated. Regardless, Solath inherited a fairly stable culture, although one that was on the fringe of religious anarchy. The greatest leader of their time had left them, and they were a lost people without him to guide them. There were going to be repercussions, although it's doubtful anyone had sensed that they would occur so quickly, most of all Salath. It was in 1520 that the prophet Nehemiah, who had been the great king's own advisor, wrote the book of Nehemiah and sent the culture into religious upheaval. The book denounced the words of the great king, calling him a fraud and an impostor, and gave logical arguments to each of his writings. He killed thousands, betrayed us, and left us with no one to guide us. Why do we believe his words and expect him to still return? The book stated. At first, there was outrage at the writings, and Nehemiah was declared a fool and heathen, most loudly by King Solath, who apparently took offense to the writing. In 1527, Nehemiah vanished, some said killed by an angry mob, and others said taken away by angels. Regardless, by 1550, there was growing sentiment that Nehemiah's book carried some truth. There was a growing tide of disharmony within the people, and there was nothing Solath could do to stem it. Those who had always thought the great king would return were beginning to understand that he would not, and they were beginning to grow angrier at the way he had left them. Suddenly, there were numerous reasons to believe that Nehemiah's writings may have carried some truth. Perhaps we have all been betrayed by the man we once called great, wrote one anonymous writer. Looking back, credit should be given to Solath for keeping his people as unified as he did. In 1604, he announced his plans to create Karim, Oh wait, that's the neighborhood we were in, wasn't it? A civic district including an opera house and a concert hall. The distraction away from the religious arguments was obvious to the public, but they seemed to welcome it. There was excitement from his proposal, and construction began in 1610. The entire area was not finished until 1650 due to varying construction problems, but when it finally did open, there was great excitement within the culture. No, that was Kirel. Oh. Karim, okay, close, but no cigar. Solath's wife passed away in 1735, leaving him with 2 daughters. It was not long after her passing away that he remarried, against the advice of a prophetess, to a younger woman named Jolatha. She gave birth to Solath's first son in 1748, and though Solath was extremely pleased, many in the religious community were somewhat apprehensive. Public records clearly indicate that Jolatha was a well-known member of an influential cult group known as the Tree, although Solath denied that fact to the day of his death. The culture remained fairly stable until the death of Solath in 1779. He was 356 years old and left the throne to his firstborn son. Okay. Let's go. We're gonna like kind of try to like read them in like burst of 3, I think, maybe, to kind of like not just dump all the lore immediately. So let's go take a break from the reading and kind of finish. We started looking around this way a little bit, but let's go finish kind of exploring this area and see what we can see over here. Ae'Gura, right? That's how you pronounce it, Ae'Gura? Ooh. This is a cool looking cave. I love the sound of the dripping water. Oh my gosh, I love that is such a nostalgic sound for me. I hear you. Hello, marker. Yeah, I need 6 more. It's the main island in the cavern. Yeah, we listened last time. We listened to a recording. Wasn't it? What was his name? But it was in the neighborhood of Carroll, where we listened to a recording of, I forget his name, of someone in the DRC that was talking about the progress of reconstructing the Dunny City, and about how they have, like, Dr. Watson, thank you, yes, it was Dr. Watson, but how they are in the progress of reconstructing Dunny City, and they've done a lot of work on Ae'Gura, and that's the area that's actually open right now. Hello, another one. This bridge is not... No, I hate this bridge so much. Why is this bridge a thing? Oh my god, I'm not looking down. And of course, they put the freaking marker downward, so you have to look down, too. Oh. Can I go this way? I can. Oh, wow. Okay. There's a whole... We'll come back here. I want to finish exploring kind of like down this hallway of the dripping cave to see kind of what's down there. Let's go back across the bridge of terrifying dreams. God, I would not even run over that. Oh my god, that's... So what puzzles are we traversing today? We are solving the puzzles of trying to find markers to restart the Great Zero. Also, hi Braveheart, good to see ya. In reality, it's like more. This is more like kind of like just exploring around just exploring around Dunny, and seeing like the different sites we can see and stuff. This almost looks like I might be able to. No, I thought maybe I would be able to like get off, actually like walk off of this pathway, but no. It still like astounds me how big this cave is, because like this, it's all underground. It's still amazing. Hello, invisible. Yes, indeed. Oh, there's another one. Hello. We need 4 more. We're actually getting pretty close. Yes, UrU is part of the Myst universe, and it's MYST. As funny as it is, this game is not very misty, but it is in the Myst universe. If you get what I'm throwing down there. That is a okay. That is a picture that is going in my collection. Okay, now what is this? Hello. That almost looks like an eye staring down at me. That's not creepy at all. Oh. Oh, okay, this is where this linking book is. I remember this one. Okay, cool. Well, before we go up there, let's do the customary run around the outside to see what we can see. Because I'm guaranteed there's going to be a marker, like, behind here, maybe. This is the library courtyard. Oh, no. Is there going to be more reading inside the library? There's so much reading in this game. I'm not complaining. I like lore. It was a lot better when it was live and the community is still active and growing for Mula. I'm planning on playing. That's weird. You can like see like the polygons down there like cutting through the edge of the. Huh. Not quite mapped right there. It's okay though. But no, I am planning on playing Myst Online UrU Live at some point in the future, and I would love to like get together like as a community to actually like all get into that game if possible and just hang out and have a good time. Oh, dude, I would love like if I actually like if my character actually had wings like a dragon. I would I can fall off this ledge. I'm not going to. I know what's gonna happen if I've done that. I've done that too many times in this game. I'm not going to commit UrU seppuku. I can't. Yeah. Even through the cracks, though, this game is still phenomenal. That's another screenshot. That's such a great. I love that. Is such a. And there was someone born, or the Alcindar was born literally as he was sailing right through there. That's fun. Myst Online UrU Live again. That is a name. I didn't realize again was actually part of the name. That's funny. Weird floating circle heart structures? Okay. Can I go down, or I can go down? Let's start by actually just going up to the main library first and see what's up here. If I can even go in. I can't go in. I am also now completely stuck. Oh, there we go. Okay. There's actually an open source shard of Mula called Open UrU that is endorsed by Cyan. Oh, hell yeah. You work from 8:30 to 1800? Oh my gosh. That's a long shift. Where do you work at now, Brave, if you don't mind me asking on stream? Oh, this door opens. Oh, that was fun. That was a cool door. Books! More books. What is this? Meerta's story. Kedri's story. Me'emin's story. Okay. Recommend reading those after I read the King books. Wait, recommend reading those after I read the King books of those names first. Okay. You're a mailman. You're a Durg mailman? Oh my god. Maybe I should become a mailman too. That just seems like fun, just flying over houses and dropping people's newspapers on top of their heads. Flyover incoming! Woo! The updates eventually get added to Mula officially. Yeah, I'll do a lot more once I finish up UrU and get closer to when I am actually planning the event of us playing Myst Online UrU Live. And I say us because I really do want to make it like a community event where everyone gets together and actually has like amazing fun time inside the game. Like I will do some research and actually figure out exactly what version, how we do it, stuff like that. You wish it was that easy. You have to use vehicles like everyone else. Oh, that's some bull. You're a dragon. You should be able to use your wings. Okay, so we got like 3 more books to read in here. That's gonna be fun. Can I? Okay. Just for clarification, I indeed cannot go into the top of this building, right? It wasn't just a weird glitch. And the main one, okay. Okay, so we need 3 more markers. Which I think we've gotten all of them over here. What I'm worried about is I'm worried there's going to be a 3rd stage for the markers that's going to require us to get all of these. Because I know the first one we only had to get like 7. This one we had to get 15. Is there going to be a 3rd stage where we have to get like all? And in that case, like where the heck am I missing all these markers at? Because there should be a lot more that I feel like I should be seeing. Unless there's actually like a lot more of Dunny that I need to explore. Open UrU is more for testing new stuff. Got you. Okay, so okay. I mean, a lot of games actually have like testing branches and stuff like that. So that's kind of what it is. Open UrU is the testing branch, and then Mula is the official. This is the proper stable game. Got you. That makes sense. Yeah, see, exactly. You drove 188 miles. If you had just been able to fly, like the bird or dragonflies, like it would have been so much easier. You wouldn't have to like go through like all the twisting and winding roads. I've done some delivery driving before, and it's not fun. It's not. It gets really monotonous and really, like, honestly, very strenuous on the senses. You get paid per mile, so you want to drive a lot of miles. That's the catch. Ooh, hello. This almost looks auditorium-like. Although I recognize this is where... This is indeed where we linked to before. Can I go in here? No. These are completely blocked off. Okay. Oh, you're just now noticing that skinny bridge, Kazuki? That I was commenting on that skinny bridge, so nope. The stirred no like heights. That's the concert hall, sadly inaccessible. Oh, maybe one day, maybe one day in Mula. Hello, there's another one. Okay. I'm actually like I'm kind of worried because I've been relying on like the sound of hearing those, and I'm worried I missed it blinking red. So we might have to go do another thorough run around and me like focusing on watching the blinking symbol. I have to. I gotta drop the code into the void. Bye! It didn't go down. I'm sad. Fortunately, physics did not seem to be involved in that bridge. If it had, that would have been even more terrifying. Are these doors open or are they closed? They are closed. Behind those two double doors is the Kaddish Gallery. Oh, that's that place that I got like it was really cool at first, and then I got so annoyed because I kept. Oh, here I go. Here we go. Yeah, bye, Cone. That I kept getting annoyed at because those puzzles were so difficult for me. In online, I can go right in. Hell yeah. Oh, I see it blinking red. Where is the question? Oh, turned white. Turned white again. Turned white. Wait, where is this? I almost feel like I have to like drop down. But like, I don't know if I want to do that. At least right now. We'll test that later. Okay. And then here's the staircase where we were coming down earlier when we were trying to find the king's palace. Okay. I'm not helping the idea. I like that is accurate. That is accurate though. What do you mean I'm not helping the idea? Like that is the idea. Is dragons are literally just scaly cats with wings. I see something perched on the edge. I just gotta go. Okay. Let me take a big drink. Oh, I have actually seen everything? Uh-oh. I've gone everywhere and seen all of Ae'Gura. Full round trip. Oh boy. Well, before we start buckling down and getting into business of trying to find where these last couple markers are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's focus on... Let's read all 4 of these books. That way it'll lead up to this empty one. And then next time, whenever we can go back to the lore roof and read the next chapter there. You could also describe dragon as a big ferret, since we like to hoard things. Huh. I did not know ferrets like to hoard as well. The more you know. Yes, exactly. You're my friend. Let's go get soft tacos later. I really want tacos, actually. Why do I want tacos so bad? Okay. King Me'erta. So this is the right one, right? This is the one we've... King Soloth, yes. Okay. Link mode activated. Okay. King Me'erta took the throne in 1779 at the young age of 31. There were multiple leaders, many of them from the church, who publicly feared that the appointment of Me'erta would cause great damage to the already fragile religious culture. Their fears appear to have been justified, as Me'erta's reign was a turbulent one. In fact, it was often stated that it was his mother, Jolatha, who ruled the throne for most of Me'erta's 236 years in power. Me'erta himself had no time to rule Dunny. He was much too busy, too focused on satisfying the women who ruled him. In 1817, Me'erta proposed construction of the Temple of the Tree, marking the first time any king officially supported anything other than the original beliefs of Rena Reef. Just as important, Me'erta's suggestion that the line of the Great Zero, which had been chosen by Rena Reef, was inaccurate. However, he did not officially change the line. He most likely realized such a change would have carried far too many implications upon the society concerning construction, navigation, etc. His goals, or Jolatha's in such a remark, were simply to question the beliefs of Rena Reef and encourage the cults to build in a newer section of the city. His remarks were all that were needed. The temple was built with a strong opposition from some in 1843. A few years later, Me'erta sanctioned the construction of the Temple of Water and the Temple of Sacred Stone. Both were finished 1876 and 1902 respectively. All were built on Me'erta's recommended line of the Great Zero. As the years passed, cults sprang up everywhere, wreaking havoc on the religious beliefs of the Dunny once had. The Temple of Yava was empty, and its priests and prophets were small in number, and many had left to pursue other beliefs. In 1975, Me'erta attempted to change the rules and restrictions of the Writers' Guilds, including altering their oath. He claimed his proposals would leave them more flexible in their writing and allow the Dunny to do more. However, the proposal was met with staunch resistance from Grand Master Tremal, who adamantly opposed the king and, as the records show, refused to change the oath that Alish had written. As it turns out, the refusal cost Tremal his life, many say on order from Jolatha. Years later, many viewed Tremal's refusal as one of the most heroic deeds of Dunny history. If those rules and oaths had changed, many believe, as Tremal had, the path to Terra-Ni would not have been long behind, and that is why we exist, wrote Tremal. Once Tremal was found dead, the Writers' Guild as a whole refused to change the proposed changes in the oath and regulations in support of their fallen comrade. Eventually, Jolatha, through Me'erta, gave up trying. By far, Jolatha's most destructive action came the year of her death in 1999, a year after I was born, funnily enough. In 1999, she convinced her son to break the seal of the tomb of the Great King. Why she wished for such an action is not clear, although numerous possibilities were proposed years later. Though few in number, there were still some who believed the Great King would return, and Jolatha was infuriated at any power the Great King had. She possibly wanted to prove once and for all that he was dead, an impostor and fool. Others wrote that she was interested in gaining access to some of the ancient books, as the tree believed they held special power. Still others said she was simply mad, while others claimed she was possessed and an agent for Jakuth. Regardless, the seal was broken. The act was carried out in secret, and in the dead of night, as even those who opposed the great king would have found such an action blasphemous and dangerous. A number of books were taken from the tomb and placed in the temple of the tree, along with what Jolatha claimed was a piece of robe from the body of the dead king. Well, Dunny's 1999 is still like 8,000 years ago in Earth's years? Yeah, I know. I'm a dragon. I live a long time. I didn't actually know that. Wait, Dunny's 1999 is like 8,000 years ago in Earth years? Oh, that makes sense though. Because, okay, yeah, because Dunny, isn't it like, I want to say 30 months to a year, but that sounds way too much actually. I might need a refresher on Dunny time. I know it's like, is that 30 months to a year? Okay, anyway. The act was carried out in secret in the dead of night, and even those who opposed the great king would have found such an action. Oh, I already read that. 1 Dunny year is 290 days, 10 months, and 29 days per month. Okay. 200. So a Dunny year is shorter than a normal year. But isn't a Dunny day longer? How many hours are in a Dunny day again? I know I read this in the Book of Ae'Gura, but my mind is not remembering at the moment. Anyway, Jolatha died 2 days later from an unknown illness. I wonder why. You unsealed the books that were tainted. While the books she had taken out remained in the temple of the tree, Maerta quietly ordered the tomb sealed again and much stronger. It was said that Maerta believed his mother had been cursed for entering the grave, and he himself was petrified of it, or any mention of the great king in the later years of his life. Maerta, known as an unfaithful man, died 15 years later with one of his lovers. The Guild of Healers records indicated massive poisoning as the cause of his death. He was 267. His murderer was never discovered, although there were numerous suspects. Though he had many enemies, most agreed it was either his wife for obvious reasons or son, who despised his father's weakness and lack of judgment. Ironically, it was that son, his oldest, whom he left the throne to. Jakuth was the equivalent of the devil in the Dunny religion. Grandmaster Temas of the Guild of Writers, in a speech to the Five Lords. Precedent existed for such a claim on previous ages. The line of the Great Zero could be either point from the Great Zero itself toward magnetic north, or toward another prominent landmark. Okay. Dunny is around 30, yeah, that's where I got the 30 from. Okay, so there's about 30 hours in a day, which is only 290 days, 10 months, and 29 days per month. That's going to involve some math. A yar is the length of a day in the Dunny timekeeping system. Each yar is equal to about 30 hours and 14 minutes. 1.26 Earth solar days. There are 29 Yartzi in each Veli and 290 Yartzi in one Har. Yartzi is your days, and there's 290 days in a Har being year, right? I'm getting that vocabulary correct. Har is the Dunny year. Okay, yeah. Okay, and here we have King Gon. Gon. King Gon took the throne in 2015 at the age of 144. Though he was not necessarily convinced of the greatness of the great king, or Yavo for that matter, Gon was far from the despot his father was. Unfortunately, he was never quite given the chance to do much for his people, as the sins of his grandmother consumed his reign and the throne. 6 months after Gan's coronation, the first signs of the plague began to show themselves. Eventually, the healers would discover that the plague was an evolved version of the disease that Alcindor had created to destroy the Pinto. The evolved version cut Dunny's lifespans in half and caused massive infertility. For the elderly and the young, death usually came quickly in the form of heart failure. The appearance of the plague and eventual announcement that it was similar to what the Great King had created caused the public to cast most of their blame for the illness on the Great King. Very few people knew of Jalatha's request to open the tomb. Those who knew of breaking of the seal seemed to have not spoken of it, or possibly were not heard of if they did. Numerous records indicate that as far as the public was concerned, the plague was the Great King's fault. Somewhat surprisingly, because of the infertility rates, Gan managed to have a son in 2050. He died 20 years later at the age of 199 after being in the throne for only 55 years, the shortest of any king. Gan left his son a population that was slowly dying, both physically and emotionally, and there was no cure in sight. The plague ended up killing over a quarter of the Dunny population, cutting birth rates in half until its cure was found in 2262. There's a book in Moolah that explains time measurements compared to ours, or rather a paper I could find. Okay. I'm looking forward to reading that. Okay, and then we have King B. I'm just going to call him King B. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. King B took the throne in 2070 at the age of 20, a record that was never surpassed. He was extremely young to inherit the throne, and his short reign displayed his immaturity. It was said that there was never any control or leadership from the throne while King B sat in it. As a result, the people were forced to look elsewhere for some kind of trust or hope. Most turned to religion, leading to many more factions and cults. Many claimed healing powers either from nature, special leaders, or Yavo himself, through a variety of different means. It seems clear that King B wavered in his stance on just about everything, including religion. In some speeches, he begged Yavo for healing, while in others, he sought for help from the tree. In the meantime, he was of no help to the healers or chemists, both of which were working hard to find a cure. In fact, some of King B's speeches point to public condemnation of the guilds, accusing them for shallow efforts and failing their own people. Those who held faith that any cure existed outside of miracles and or special potions were few and far between. The population continued to die, and the amount of children born decreased tremendously. King B himself died in 2193 at the young age of 143, without any descendants to leave the throne to. In fact, so few children were being born that King B had trouble choosing an heir even from his own staff. As a result, he chose his 179-year-old uncle to take the throne after his death. It was later said that some higher power must have been involved in such a choice, as King B was far too ignorant to choose an heir that made so much sense. Betna Serene. Betna Serene. King Betna Serene. I can't say words. For people listening, hear me say King B, or King Bai. Okay, and here we have King Hemelin, which is the uncle. King Hemelin took the throne in 2193 at the age of 179. Hemelin had been the guild master in the Guild of Healers, and it was said that he took the throne with rage in his heart and a fire in his mouth. Sounds like a dragon. I approve of this guy. He was extremely angered over public opinion of his guild and made it his mission to make sure that a cure was found. Some say he exhibited more power and authority in the throne in 1 week than his nephew had in 123 years. Hemelin was fairly convinced that a cure lay in the books of old, and he had been encouraging the healers to look there long before his coronation as king. However, his nephew had been hesitant to allow access to the books, something that immediately changed once Hemelin had authority to look through them. Hemelin seemed to be a fairly devout follower of Yavo, and often claimed that only Yavo would heal them, not the other gods that his people were seeking. In 2255, Hemelin became extremely ill, and most thought was about to die. The Guild of Healers continued to try and prevent death, but the prognosis was very grave. It was during his days in the sickbed that he met a woman named Larkin. She helped to care for him, and as time passed, Hemelin found himself living just to see her one more time. As he wrote later, Larkin must have felt the same way. The new love seemed to forge a new will to live. Hemelin recovered, and to the day he died, praised Larkin for the reason he was able to defeat the plague. 2 years later, Larkin helped the rest of the Dunny defeat the plague. Rumors say that while searching through the old histories that her relationship afforded her access to, she found hints as to where most of the old books had been kept. It was a few months later that the Book of Bereni, a particular book that Hemelin had always sought, was found. 6 years after the discovery, the Guild of Healers, led by Guild Master Jason, considered the plague cured. Records point to tremendous celebration like had never been seen before. A newfound optimism spread throughout the culture, and unofficially the Dunny Renaissance began. It should also be noted that on this day, 2262, King Hemelin and Lalin wed in grand ceremony. In 2270, the first post-plague child was born, and Hemelin promised to give him the throne as a symbolic gesture of hope and celebration. Though Hemelin tried to use the end of the plague as a tool to encourage people back to Yavo, it did not seem to succeed. Instead, there seemed to be a newfound love of the culture itself, of the arts, of technology, of further exploration into the truths of the universe. In 2350, the Minor Guild of Miners. Why do I find that so? The Minor Guild of Miners. So is there a Major Guild of Majors too? Okay, sorry. In 2350, the Minor Guild of Miners, following their encouragement of Hemelin, announced their plans for a drastic improvement in mining methods and technologies. Hemelin left an upbeat but rather dazed culture to his successor when he passed away at the age of 342 in 2356. Okay. Oh. Okay. And that's the next 4 books read. Next time we will do these 4 books, which will be the one that we have to go back to the UrU for, as well as these 3 right here. And then we'll actually have half of the Palace of Kings read. I wasn't paying attention. Give me a heads up. Was any of these books one that I need to go back to literally what I was about to ask you. Now I can read one of the storybooks in the library, the Murta one. Like saying at furry convention with furries. We're gonna go on an ad break real quick while I head back to the library. And then when we get there, we will read that next book. Like saying a furry convention with furries. What? I thought a furry convention was only for scalies. I realize. So we remember that like back like a minor guild is like essentially like a technical college, if you want to think about it like that, for like whatever profession you're going to get into. So the minor guild, so I'm assuming there was a guild of miners, which I'm assuming are the people who were like mined out tunnels and maybe even like constructed some of the Dunny infrastructure. And so I'm assuming the Minor Guild of Miners was like the technical college to teach people how to actually do that job. A dragon world with dragons. Yes. I would love a dragon world with dragons. Wait, isn't that... That's Wings of Fire, is it not? I still love this. I wish I could go all the way up to the railing. There's like a slight invisible wall, though. I'm kind of sad. Oh man, I thought last time was going to be the reading stream. This is apparently going to be the reading stream with all the Palace of Kings stuff as well as stuff here in the library. And also, we haven't even finished the lore roof. We're gonna have to go back to the lore roof to read some more as well. That's cool though. I love actually like learning about this. Learning about the culture of Dunny and like how it came to be. Not Eartha. What were the other two names? Kedri and Memon? Almost like Mammon from one of the sins from Has-Been or from Hell of a Boss. Once again, with all this lore material, there could be a TV show with every episode. Yeah, I know that would be so cool. That would be so cool to have a Myst or Dunny TV show.